Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is section 1.3, function notation. And today we're going to look at two separate types of function notation, Euler's notation and mapping notation. First of all, let's take a peek at Euler's notation. Here the notation shows that x is my independent variable. F of x is kind of like y. It depends on whatever x is. So let's plug in some values for x and find the corresponding values for f of x, where we can see this like a line. F of x is like your y. It's dependent on whatever x is. And let's plug in -1, 0, and 1. And over here, if I plug in a -1 for x, everywhere I have x, I am going to replace it with -1. Now I can see I get -5 plus 1, which is a -4. Now when I plug in 1 for x, when I plug in 0 for x, everywhere I have x, I replace it with 0. Now I can see 5 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. And last but not least, when I plug 1 into my function everywhere I have x, I replace it with 1. And I get 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And so here you can see your output values. These are dependent on whatever x is. X is the independent variable. It's footloose and fancy-free. It could be anything. You could choose any values here for x, plug it into your function, and find the corresponding output values for x. All right, let's go into mapping notation. Now, this notation is a little bit odder to us, but it actually makes a whole lot more sense. Here, this is what you're seeing, an arrow to 5x plus 1. And let me go ahead and use the same points, -1, 0, and 1. And what's going to happen is when we plug in -1 for x, everywhere we have x, we're going to replace it with -1. And when I do that, I get -5 plus 1, which is -4. Oops. So you see I'm getting the exact same solutions that I did before. When I plug 0 into this mapping function, everywhere I have x, I replace it with 0. And hopefully you agree we get 1. Let's go ahead and do this last one pretty fast. When I plug in 1, I get 6. Now, the reason I say this one makes more sense is that you can see that x is mapping to f of x via this beautiful function right here. F of x is like a plane. When x gets on it, it's in this location. And when it gets off, it's in a brand new 5x plus 1 location, and it's totally different. I don't know if that helps, but either way, you can see the operations, the function notations. You plug in your value for x, you get the corresponding value for y. I'd like to try one more function, or actually like to have you try one more function, and it's x squared plus 20. For tomorrow, I would like you to give me a sheet of paper that finds f of 3. And for tomorrow, I would like you to also find what 3 maps to. So I want these 2 questions on your notebook sheet for tomorrow morning, and we'll work more in class. I'll see you then.